Do you ever wake up, look at your to-do list, and think, I just don't feel like doing this today. I don't feel like studying? Well, you're going to want to tune in to tonight's show because we're going to be talking about how to get yourself to do what you need to do when you just don't feel like it. How do you study when you have no motivation? But before we get into tonight's episode, I want to let you know that I created something for you that's going to help you if you are a chronic procrastinator and you want to get out of the procrastination and guilt cycle so that you can reach all your academic goals this semester. If you look inside of the description box, you will see a guide called the Ultimate Anti-Procrastination Guide for the college girl who's brilliant and tired of failing. If you are someone who is constantly falling short of their potential because you can't seem to get out of your own way and do what you need to do, you're going to want to go ahead and download that guide. There's so much information in there that's easy to digest, and it gets to the root of the problem when it comes to why you procrastinate so much. So, hello everyone, welcome back to SheRocks at College Live. My name is Clarissa, I am your host, and SheRocks at College Live is a live show that happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So what I do is I bring together brilliant college women like you to have conversations around what it's like to live your best life while being enrolled in higher ed classes. This is a show for the non-traditional college student who wants to get out of her own way, stop self-sabotaging so that she can reach all of her academic goals and step into her brilliance as she moves through her higher ed journey. And tonight, like I said, we're talking about what to do when you have no motivation to study, but you can't afford not to. This conversation is really a conversation all about motivation, how to create motivation, how to stay motivated, the truths and the lies, the myths that we've been told about what motivation is and who has it, who doesn't have it, and how to generate it. So if you're watching tonight, say hello. Let me know if you're one of those people who feels like you need to be motivated in order to do any type of schoolwork. I know that I often don't feel like doing things. I often don't feel motivated to go to the gym, or I don't feel motivated to eat healthy, but I still try to do uncomfortable things. And that's really what this conversation is about tonight. Of course, I'm going to give you the secret to getting yourself to always have the motivation that you need in order to get your work done. And it really starts with this one simple question. And that one simple question is, why don't you feel like it? The reason why you lack motivation, if you look at the definition of motivation, motivation means to give purpose. To give something purpose, give something a meaning. So if you are feeling like you don't feel like studying or you don't have the motivation to study, it's because you haven't given yourself that motivation. Now, our society has conditioned us to believe that if we don't feel motivated to do something, something has gone terribly wrong, that there is something wrong with us if we're not always feeling happy or inspired when we sit down to study and read a textbook. And I'm here again to call BS on that. It's a lie we have been fed, and it's a lie that we've been using against ourselves and using to self-sabotage. When you don't feel like it, here's really what's going on. You had a thought about the thing that you need to do, which is why the question, why don't you feel like it, is super important. Often we don't feel like it because we're tired. Often we don't feel like it because it's going to be hard. Often we don't feel like it because it's going to be boring. Often we don't feel like it because we don't have the time to give. Often we don't feel like it because we don't understand the material. Often we don't feel like it because we have other work that also needs our attention. All of those statements are just that. They're just thoughts. They're just statements that you're saying, that you're using. And it's okay for things to be hard. It's okay that it's going to take a long time. It's okay that it's boring. You don't need to constantly feel good in order to do things. It's bullshit. Most things in life are hard. Most things in life don't feel good. And when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like studying, nothing has gone wrong. In fact, your brain is functioning exactly the way that it should be functioning. It's called the motivational triad. The motivational triad, I'm going to talk about it, is what your brain was designed and equipped to do to keep you alive. The motivational triad consists of your brain seeking out pleasure. So what it wants is to constantly get a consistent stream of dopamine, which is that feel-good hormone. The second part of the motivational triage is that your brain wants to avoid pain. So it wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you comfortable. And then the third part of the motivational triad is that your brain wants to be efficient, meaning that it wants to do things as quickly as it can. It doesn't want to have to put in any effort. And when you engage in an activity, or you even think about engaging in activity that puts into question one of those three things that are a part of the motivational triad, your brain freaks out and tells you something is wrong. Caution. Stop what you're doing. Don't go down that path. Something has gone terribly wrong and you are trying to kill us. Because it's not getting pleasure from the reading assignment, because the reading assignment is causing you pain, or because you're now requiring your brain to put in some effort, to put in some work, and it doesn't want to have to do that. The motivational triad is what your brain was designed to do. So when you don't feel motivated to do something, when you're not inspired, nothing has gone wrong. In fact, things are happening exactly the way that they're supposed to happen. The problem is you're making the fact that you don't have motivation mean something. You're making it mean that you shouldn't be studying, that you're doing something wrong because you're not super happy about being in college all the time, or it doesn't feel light and airy and like you're shooting rainbows out of your butt, because that's what we get portrayed by the media, that everything we do should make us feel good all of the time. But if that was the case, we would never feel a negative emotion. You're supposed to feel crappy 50% of the time. Things are supposed to feel hard 50% of the time. How do I know this? Because it's the way that it's been since the beginning of time. We are driven by two main emotions: happiness and fear. Now, we have a lot of different words that we use to describe happiness and that we use to describe fear, but at the basis of all emotions is just happiness and fear. Fear will trigger the fight or flight response in your brain. Happiness will flood your brain with dopamine, and that's where your brain wants to hang out all day long. And so whenever your brain has to think about studying, whenever your brain has to focus on a class that is hard, that requires a lot of effort, that requires a lot of focus, that requires a lot of time, it is going to tell you we're not motivated, because your brain is motivated to seek pleasure, to avoid pain, and to be as efficient as possible. It will always want to do or seek out those three things: pleasure, avoiding pain, being efficient. And when you think thoughts like it's going to be hard, that's not part of the motivational triage. triad. It's not part of the motivational triad. So your brain is going to say, nope, not doing it. Nope, let's get as far away from this assignment as humanly possible. But here's what I want to tell you, friend. The best things in life feel like shit when you're doing them. When you're first learning things, it's gonna feel hard. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna feel like shit. And when you begin to expect that, when you begin to train your brain to understand that and know it, it stops trying to fight you on it. Most of you right now have not been able to get into a consistent study routine because you believe that motivation is just going to hit you one day. You're waiting around all day long for motivation to strike. It's never going to come unless you give it to yourself. Even when you watch a video like the one that you're watching right now, and you say to yourself, wow, I'm motivated after watching that video. Wow, you really motivated me to study. I didn't motivate you to study. You motivated yourself because you gave yourself a purpose for studying. And that purpose was a thought. Maybe you watched this video and you thought to yourself like, wow, like I didn't realize that's what I was doing to myself. Well, I can get out of it. Or maybe you watched a video of someone studying and who had failed a class before and you think to yourself, well, if they did it, I can do it too. The purpose, the meaning, the motivation, right? Because to motivate means to give purpose, came from the thought that you gave to yourself. Motivation it's not a tangible thing that someone else can hand you. It's something that you create for yourself through the thoughts that you're thinking, and it's not always going to feel good. Nothing has gone wrong because you're not motivated to study. It's okay to study even when you're not motivated. It's okay to study even when it feels hard. It's okay to study even when it takes a long time. Nothing has gone wrong. But because all of you guys think that this is a problem, you stop yourself from ever taking any action. I have students who come to me all of the time wanting my help with achieving their academic goals, with succeeding in a program, with creating a study schedule. And they'll give me all of these stories and all of these perceived problems. And the more I listen to them and the more I hear about what's really going on for them, the more I realize that there isn't a problem at all. That everything that they're telling me isn't an issue. What's really happening is their unwillingness to experience a negative emotion, to experience something being hard, to experience something taking a long time, to experiencing something being boring. And usually what I say to them and what I ask them is this: have you ever done anything that's been boring before? And they'll say, yeah. Have you ever done anything that's been hard before? And they'll say, yeah. Have you ever done anything that's taken a long time for you to achieve before? And they'll say, yes. So what are you afraid of? What are you running from? Our society, again, has conditioned us to believe that we should feel good all of the time. But without negative emotion, we have no idea what happiness feels like. Without failure, we have no idea what success looks like. Without something being hard, we have no idea what easy feels like. There always has to be that duality to give us the contrast so that we understand what it is that we're experiencing as humans. And most of you can't get yourself to do your work, to read a textbook because you're afraid of feeling bored. because you're afraid of it being hard. So what? Can't you just let it be hard? Can't you just let it be boring? Can't you just let it take a long time? Because you're going to have to do it anyway. Eventually, the pain of not doing it is going to get more intense than you avoiding it because failure is imminent. So just do it and let it be boring. Just do it and let it be hard. Are you guys understanding what I'm getting at? Most of you never reach your potential because you're afraid of experiencing the emotion that you're gonna need to experience in order to reach your potential. There's no way around it. You have to go through it in order to achieve it. You have to. Nothing ever feels good at the beginning. Everything always feels hard when you're first learning how to do it. Most of you want to go from not understanding chemistry to fully understanding it overnight. But if you knew it already, you wouldn't be spending $50,000 a year to have someone lecture it to you. Let yourself be a novice. Let yourself be a beginner. Let yourself learn the skills that you need to learn in order for it to eventually be easy and come second nature to you. And when you let it be easy and you let it become second nature, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be motivated to want to show up for that class. And you're going to be motivated to want to do that textbook reading. And you're going to be motivated to want to do the research paper or to take your notes or to study, because now the purpose that you've given it is that it makes you feel smart. It makes you feel good. And Amy is saying the exact thing that I'm thinking about, which is we all want instant gratification, and life doesn't happen that way. Think about it. If in this moment you got to experience all the happiness that you ever will experience in your life, would you want it? Or would you want it to spread over time? I personally would want it spread over time than to just once experience all the happiness that I'm ever going to experience in my life for 10 seconds. The reason why success feels so good and it tastes so good is because of the hard work that it took to get there. That's why we can relish in it. That's why it feels amazing, is because we experienced the hardship that led us to it. The point of this video is to get you to see that so many of you are putting your success outside of yourself. You're waiting around for somebody to come and save you, for somebody to come and give you what it is that you want, versus working for it yourself, versus going after it. And as you're sitting there, you're feeling all of this self-pity because why isn't anybody helping me? Why isn't anyone coming over here and giving me the motivation that I need? And then you beat yourself up over feeling bad or over wasting time waiting around for someone to come and save you, instead of doing what you need to do and giving yourself the purpose and the meaning, the motivation to do what it is that you need to do. Friend, no one can give you anything. You have to be willing to give it to yourself first. You have to be willing to give it to yourself first. You want to be motivated? Create it. Why is it important for you to get this done today? What meaning does this hold in your life? And And if it's not in alignment, if you being enrolled in college right now is not in alignment with what you want to do with your life, give yourself the permission to try a different path, to do something else, to try something else for a little bit. You can always come back and enroll in college later on. People do it all the time. But if the only reason why you're not working on your work is because you don't want to experience a short moment of discomfort, you're going to have a hard life ahead of you. A hard life, because problems don't go away. Negative emotion will always be around. And there's always going to be something hard for you to learn how to do and make easy. Most of you aren't motivated, not because of what is happening to you, but because of how you're choosing to look at the things you've been gifted with. You're seeing it as a problem and a burden, rather than getting curious and figuring out a way to make it exciting for yourself, to make it worth it for you. It's okay that you're not motivated to study. You can do it anyway. It's okay that you don't feel like it. You can do it anyway. It's okay that it's going to be hard. You can do it anyway. There is proof all in your life that this is true. You've done things that were boring before. You've done things when you weren't motivated before. You've done things that are hard before. You've experienced all of those emotions before. None of this is a problem. You're just unwilling to go through those negative emotions. Let yourself feel them and still do the work. I promise you, once you're in it, they dissipate. They don't feel as intense. And that's all I have for you tonight. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the comments right now and see if anybody has any questions. And if you do have questions, this is a part of the show where you want to drop them in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit the bell, that you subscribe to the channel, that you give me a thumbs up so that you don't miss out on another episode. Hey, Zainab, I feel like I always pronounce your name wrong. Thanks for joining us. And I'm only going to stay on for as long as students have questions. So if you do have a question, make sure you drop it in the comment. What did everyone think of tonight's episode? If you're watching the replay, you can always comment below the video. If you're on live right now, what was one takeaway that you got from this? I know that typically what I talk about on this show is unconventional. It's not your go download an app tip. I like to get to the root of the problem, the actual cause, so that you find a solution that is long lasting. Oh, Amy says she can't get the anti-procrastination guide to open. I will try to drop that in the, try to drop it in the comments, and I'll also update the guide inside of the link once we get off this live show. So what Amy's talking about is the anti-procrastination guide for the college girl who is brilliant and tired of failing. So if you're someone who struggles with procrastination, and you want to learn how to get yourself to stop procrastinating for good, you're going to want to go ahead and download the guide. The link for it is in the description box of this video. All right, so it looks like there aren't any more questions. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you here next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to talk all about how to create a morning ritual that will leave you So excited to start your day. Bye.